Going on, Sactown viewers? I'm Ray.
And I'm Jared.
Welcome to episode 3 of that Sactown Sports podcast. Now, today we're going to start a new segment we're going to do every Wednesday called Sports in the News. And what it's going to be about is we're just going to talk about everything that happened, like big things that happen in sports. And this is going to be our first segment today.
So today we're going to go over a couple of topics that have been going around the sports news that are the most popular and the ones that we want to talk about. So, excuse me. So we're first going to talk about the Duke game that happened. Was it today that happened? That they lost today?
Sunday, March 31st.
Sunday. Okay, so yesterday, or excuse me, today. I'm crazy today. So we're going to talk about the Duke game. We're going to talk about the start of the baseball season. Just quick prediction as to who we think is going to go to the World Series and win. We're going to talk about the controversial call that decided the Warriors versus Timberwolves game. We're going to talk about Devin Booker's stretch of games over these last 3 games. And we're going to talk about who we think the face of sports is. Who we thinks the most polarizing athlete in sports today. Ray, if you want to get started, it's all you, man.
Before we start this podcast, I just want to give a quick moment of silence for Nipsey Hussle. He died today. Rest in peace, Nipsey. He was a great artist. I didn't listen to a lot of his music, but he influenced the game a lot. And so just like a quick 5 seconds of silence for him. Okay, so today, what's going on?
It's all you, right? It's all you.
Okay, cool. So today we're gonna start off talking about the Duke game. So I wasn't a big college fan for basketball. This was my first year actually being involved, and so you call me a bandwagon or not, but I chose Duke because I felt their team was very exciting to watch with Zion and RJ and Cam Reddish, and Trey Jones. So I chose Duke to go all the way, and the last couple of games against UCF and
Virginia.
They've been very close games. And today they lost in the tournament. What was it? 78 or 68, 67?
68, 67, Duke lost.
67, Duke lost today. I mean, Zion, he played great. He put up great stats. I just felt like it wasn't team ball throughout the whole tournament. I think each one of them, Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett, and Zion, not really Zion too much, but I really think RJ most was trying to show off. They were trying to up their maybe
stock.
Their draft stock.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't play good. That's final thing said. They didn't play good. I really wish they would have gone all the way, but I mean, they don't shoot a lot of threes either. Well, Cam Reddish does, but a lot of the other NCAA teams were just lighting teams up with deep threes, a lot of quick threes, and so it sucks to say and sucks to see. But Duke has lost and will not be moving on to the Final Four.
Yeah. So I, like you, had Duke going all the way. Duke has 3 top 10 prospects going into this year's NBA draft. One can argue top 5, but I wouldn't. They were a great team throughout the whole entire season. Zion was a leader. Obviously, you got RJ, Cam Reddish, Trey Jones. They had Coach K, one of the best college coaches of all time. Excuse me. I think that they were not playing team ball as well as they should have. And I think to an extent, Zion actually depends on how you look at it. His stock went down or went up. Some scouts would say, he lost the championship, or he lost a chance to beat him in championship, so his stock went down. But if you take a look at the stats, he had 24 points, 14 rebounds, 3 steals, 3 blocks with a plus minus of 5. I think that that's impressive. It's not superstar stats, but it's definitely all-star stats. It's for a guy who hasn't even touched NBA basketball. I think he's going to be a polarizing player. I think the reason why he only had 24 points was because he can't shoot the basketball, and because of that, teams can collapse on Zion and clog the paint. And on Duke, they don't have the greatest shooters. Trey Jones to me has been very disappointing this tournament. RJ, I think he's playing more for himself and less buying into what Coach K wants.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Cameron Reddish, big fan. I think that they were not playing great basketball. But let's also take a look at it from the other side. I think that they played good competition. UCF, great coach team. They have one of the most exciting guys in college basketball, period, in Taco Fall. That guy is crazy. I think that people underestimate who they went up against. Michigan State was no joke. They are no joke. And neither is Virginia. They got some shooters. And I think it was more of these last couple games being this close. I don't know how much of it is bad Duke, or good team, or ISO ball, hero ball versus team ball. And if you're Zion Williamson, I think that scouts shouldn't take him scouts shouldn't value him less because of this loss. I think that because of Zion, they were so versatile, and I think that them losing wasn't indicative of his play.
I agree. So that's all we're gonna say about Duke. That was probably one of the biggest shockers and biggest things this week in sports. So we wanted to talk about that. Agree with us or don't agree with us, leave it in the comment section. So on to the next topic. We have the MLB. Now, a little disclaimer before, and if you guys get mad, we are not the biggest MLB fans. I follow it. Jared follows it a little bit, but we don't know like advanced stats. But we're just gonna give an opinion about who we think is gonna make it to the World Series. So, Jared, if you want to start off with your predictions.
First, before I start off, I want to say that I'm an Oakland A's fan. Proud to be an Oakland A's fan. I want to get to my team before I make the team win the World Series. I think that the A's have one of the best bullpens in the league, hands down. They got a bevy of really good pitchers, and I think that we're one of the best teams in terms of every other facet of baseball except for hitting. Chris Davis is our only real power hitter, and I think that we will probably make the playoffs, or excuse me, make the World Series. I don't know. I'm saying, point is, they're gonna make the playoffs, but they won't go far. Baseball is not really my thing because I think it's slow. It's not for me, but I'll still go to a game. I'll still watch it if it's on. I know a little bit about the A's, but who I think is going to go to the World Series this year, I think it's going to be the Yankees. The New York Yankees, it's been long overdue. They haven't been dominant since back when they were really, really dominant. Got the Alex Rodriguez days, got the Babe Ruth era, Joe DiMaggio era, Yogi. You got all those guys. I think that they improved their roster heavily.
They did.
Yes, they did. They added some depth. One could argue the Red Sox. One could argue the Astros. I wouldn't get too mad about that. Baseball is not really controversial in terms of it's not as popular as football, and basketball is rising over baseball. So I have the Yankees going to the World Series and winning. I think they have good hitting, good pitching, great coaching. I think that they're a storied franchise, and I have them winning the World Series.
I like that pick a lot, Jared. But so for what I did was I chose who I think is going to go in the AL and NL. I didn't pick a clear-cut winner because I think it's still a little too early for that. I mean, it's a little early to do this too, but this is just our bold, hard predictions. And so I picked for the AL. I picked the Yankees as well. I think they gained more this offseason than they lost. They added James Paxton, the pitcher from the Mariners. I think he's going to add bullpen strength to them. Aaron Judge and Giancarlo, They're great outfielders. They're definitely going to hold it down. I'm going to bat for decent averages and get a lot of home runs. And hopefully Gary Sanchez could produce like he did 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then from the NL, wait, before I say the NL, I just want to clear up. I am a Giants fan. I'm a bad Giants fan. I'm a bad Giants fan. After the World Series, I still like watch them, but I've just never really into them after that. I mean, you call it bandwagon a little bit, but I just wasn't into baseball that much. And the Giants, we really haven't done that much stuff with our roster since then. I mean, we've kept the same players. We haven't really done anything too big. I mean, we picked up McCutchen a couple of years, like a year ago, and then we traded him away the same season. We picked up Evan Longoria, but those are older players. I think we have the oldest roster in the whole MLB.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of boring to watch the same people constantly. We don't have a lot of batters that have a lot of pop to the bat either. So I'm hoping that I hoped we would have gotten Bryce Harper, but lefties don't really do too well in San Fran. So hopefully next year in the offseason we could change it up a little bit. But that's my MLB team. Comment down your MLB team in the comment section. And then so for the NL side of the ball, man, you would have asked me before the offseason, I probably would have said it was going to be the Dodgers again. But I think they lost a lot. They lost Manny Machado and didn't pick up Bryce Harper. They traded Puig away. I mean, they got a good pitcher for him and Matt Kemp, but I don't know. I think Puig was a pretty, like, not a leader for the team, but he just added a lot of, like, charisma and, like, spark to the team. And I think the Dodgers are going to miss him. So I got the Brewers going all the way. I think Christian Yelich is the best player in baseball on the batting side of the ball and fielding side of the ball.
That's bold.
That's a strong take, but he's killing it, man. In 4 games already, he has 4 home runs, won every single game. So like I was saying, I think Christian Yelich is probably the best player in baseball right now, in my personal opinion. That's a bold prediction, but I mean, he puts up the numbers, man. He's a great hitter. He's a great fielder. I think the Brewers have a lot of talent, so I have them going all the way to the World Series. I don't know. I'm not gonna predict who's gonna win, but that's my prediction for who's gonna go. So I got the Yankees and the Brewers going all the way.
That's a bold claim. There's a lot of great hitters out there. There's Davis. There's Bryce Harper. There's Machado. There's Mike Trout. But anyways, next topic we're gonna go over the controversial call between the Warriors and the Timberwolves. So this was a game that happened a couple days ago. The Warriors played the Timberwolves. It was the score was 131 to 130. The Timberwolves beat the Warriors. So what happened was the Timberwolves had 130. The Warriors had 127. Iguodala passed the ball to Kevin Durant. He shot it, made the 3-pointer, but the shot was waved off. I was not able to, go over why. I didn't see why, but that's not important. So what the play that happened next was the ball was re-inbounded. Iguodala hit Curry in the corner. He took a couple dribbles. He shot in, was it Tolliver's face? It was somebody's face.
I think it was Tolliver.
He drained a 3. It was 130-130. Game was tied. Warriors had all the momentum. And on the inbound play, because the Timberwolves had...
Left on the clock, just to let you guys know.
Sorry. There was 0.5 seconds left on the clock. So the only play that could possibly work was an alley-oop. So Timberwolves called a timeout. The ball was inbounded to half court. So the guy that was inbounding the ball, Karl Anthony Towns was going for an alley-oop, and the guy threw the ball to make the alley-oop, but Kevin Durant was called for a foul on Karl Anthony Towns. All the Warriors players were pissed. After watching it, I was pissed. So it was a common foul, but because the Timberwolves were in the bonus, it was automatic free throws. If you can watch the call, there's 2 sides. The first side was that Kevin Durant was clearly holding on Cat's body by his hips, or around his hip area, and it was clear his hands were on Cat. Other than that, there was no other explanation for why I thought it was a foul. For one, Durant did not hinder Karl Anthony Towns from making an alley-oop. It looked like it, but Karl Anthony Towns was trying to sell the foul. One can clearly tell. Two, the contact wasn't excessive. It wasn't anything that would, to me, result in a foul. If that play happened in, say, 1996, that wouldn't be a foul. It's not much to say. There was a report that the refs reviewed the play and it was correctly called. I disagree. I think that there wasn't enough contact to warrant a foul, and the fact that Karl Anthony Towns sold what was the foul made it seem more of a foul. Durant wasn't really tugging on him. He was just kind of attached to his hip, and he was trying to grab him, but not in a way that would bring Cat down from making the alley-oop. So my conclusion is I think it's a no foul, or excuse me, I think it should have been a no call, but that's me.
I agree with Jared. I didn't see enough inclusive evidence that Durant was pulling him down at all. I think it was actually a bad pass by the inbounder, and Cat, just like you said, he still did. I mean, he kind of flopped a little bit. There's nothing much more to say about it. What was called was called. But that was a pretty big play, and it definitely was one of the big news stories this week.
Yeah, so one more thing before we move on to the next topic is that I think NBA refs are right now they're not very good.
Mm-hmm.
I think James Harden to me is the topic of the day, but I think James Harden benefits from the refs. But I'm not going to get into that too much because that will be another topic for the day. Next, we're going to talk about Devin Booker's stretch of games. So these last 3 games, Devin Booker has been going off. Last night he had 48 points. The night before that he had 50. Before 59. That 59, 50, and then 48. Before I get into my analysis, I think it's badass that in the second game he screamed to a fan, "I'm gonna go for 50." Then he dropped 50. I was like, when I first thought of that, I thought of that's a podcast topic. And second, that's Kobe. That's Kobe. That's something Kobe would do. The Mamba mentality. You guys may not know this or not, but Devin Booker trains with Kobe. Kobe's his mentor, obviously, like it should be for everybody. He works out with Kobe, so he has the same work ethic as Kobe. And that's why I love Booker. He's a very hard worker. This guy never stops. He eats, sleeps, and breathes basketball. He's 21 years old.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
13.
Huh?
He was the 13th pick in the draft that year?
Yeah. Easily, probably could argue the best player in that draft class. Maybe top 3, top 2. Great scorer. I think that Devin Booker needs to get out of Phoenix. He has told the media he wants to be a a lifeline Suns player like Steve Nash or someone like that. And I like the approach. I think it's rare these days to find a player that wants to stay in one city for his whole career, like Kobe did. But I think for his career, for people to actually take him seriously, I think he needs to leave. I was hearing the argument a couple days ago that Devin Booker is overrated, and that's laughable. The team success.
Can I stop you right there?
Mm-hmm.
I actually want to argue with you. This is probably my first time I disagree with you. I think in order to create his legacy, I think he needs to stay with the Suns. I think if he leaves and goes to another team, he's just going to be another one of those players that just benefited off the era of super teams. I think he needs to create his own. I'm not saying he has to win a championship with the Suns or anything, but if he could take a Suns team to the playoffs and be the best player on that team, I think that's going to increase his legacy by a lot. I think he's going to have his best opportunity to be a scoring champ with the Suns. I think the ball runs around him the most, and I think if they could pick up a guy like John Morant, that could be a playoff team still. But keep on going. I'm sorry for that.
So I want to address that point before I move on. I think that I'm gonna ask you a question. Has Kevin Durant's stock gone up or gone down since he joined Golden State?
I think it's gone down.
See, I would disagree. How sports fans view this isn't how I view sports, but a normal sports fan counts championships. Championships are important, and State was, hey, I want to play good basketball with the right teammates. I want to win championships. I want to have fun. I defend his decision, by the way, obviously, but I defend it for Kevin Durant. For the NBA, I don't like it, um, because on the one hand, I want Durant to be happy. I think he gets a lot more negativity than people, than he deserves. But at the same time, it wasn't good for the NBA. So good for Durant, bad for NBA. But back to what I was saying.
Uh,
Um, people
his
value.
his stock has
Hmm?
gone down. I think fans and people who watch basketball, they acknowledge loyalty and they acknowledge who could win for their own team. I think once Durant joined the Warriors, he lost a lot of respect from a lot of fans. And I think if you don't ask people in 10 years before he left the Thunder if he would be a top 20 player of all time, I think they would have said yeah for sure. But I think him going to the Warriors, I think it affects that, and I don't think people agree with that statement anymore. But let's just keep going. I don't want to make this episode too long. So
Yeah, I don't want to make this about Durant either, but I'm just gonna say one last thing to wrap up this topic. Um, Before Durant joined Golden State, nobody saw him on LeBron's level. He was getting owned by LeBron every single year. Once he joined Golden State, there was a real debate about who's a better player, Durant or LeBron. And one can make an argument I'll make that Durant outplayed LeBron in the finals that they've played. Now, the team argument is out there, and that's fine. I'm not arguing that Durant's a better player than LeBron. I'm saying in the finals that Durant has played with Golden State, he has outplayed LeBron in certain categories of basketball. He's been a better scorer, and I think he's a better scorer than LeBron, period. Better shooter, better free throw shooter. So I think that his stock has risen. But that's a debate for the day because I think you and I feel very differently about how sports. I value championships a little bit less than the common guy, but most sports fans love championship arguments. But that's another thing. If you want to talk about Devin Booker's stretch, you can. If not, we can move on to the face of sports.
what he's doing right now is amazing. I mean James Harden is doing it more at a consistent level,
Mm-hmm.
but for Devin Booker is 7, 8 years younger than James Harden. He's showing the league that he could be a top scorer in this league, and I truly think he can be. I think he has the right mindset. I think he works very hard, and I think he could be a top 5 shooting guard in the league. Give him a couple more years. I just think they really need a good point guard. Jimmer's on that team now, but
Jimmer.
John Morant would be a good fit. Um, maybe I don't know.
By the
Maybe
way,
pick up second round.
my personal opinion. Excuse me. So sorry about you, Ray. I just had to get this point in before we go. My personal opinion is that the Suns either need to draft John Morant or trade to get veteran experience because no matter how many young guys you bring in, if there's no veteran leadership, their best player is Devin Booker, and he's still a baby. They got Aiton, they got Josh Jackson, who I think is still can be a nice player. They need to bring in either John Morant or they need to sign somebody that's going to boost their ability to win. But go on.
Mike Conley to the Suns, but that's for another day, like we always say. But our next topic, what our next topic is going to be the face of the NBA or the face of the sports. You want to talk about that next?
Yes. Do you want me to go or do you?
I'll go.
Okay. Go ahead.
So for the face of sports, I mean that's very hard because there's a lot of sports. There's a lot of sports, and we could say that each sport has their own person that's really the face of that sport. But for today, we're gonna give our opinions and ideas of who we really think is the face of sports when you think of sports. So I think the past decade, we can all agree that it's been LeBron. I think when you think of sports, you think of either Tom Brady or LeBron James or Serena Williams. But
Michael Phelps.
or Michael Phelps, yes. But we want to talk about in the next couple of years who we can see taking those people's thrones. So, three people off the top of my head that I think could be those people are number one. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think he might take LeBron's spot as the king of basketball, the Greek freak, and I think he's getting a lot of popularity, and I think he's a household name sooner than later. Uh, that's my first pick. My second pick is a guy in football, and this one is kind of hard because is he going to be a QB? Is he going to be a running back? Is it going to be a defensive player? Well, I think it's QBs. I think QBs are always going to be the face of football. I think they're the leaders of the team, and I think they win championships. So I'm gonna have to go with Carson Wentz. The Eagles, they made it there. Obviously, Nick Foles won it, but I think Carson Wentz is an electrifying player when he's not hurt. And I think if he could stay on the field and like get rid of his issues with the whole teammate like bad locker room personality, I think he could tear it up and the next decade maybe win a couple rings and be that leader that Philly really needs. I mean, Nick Foles did pretty well, but Nick Foles is no athlete or player like Carson Wentz is. And then lastly, I think someone who could be a face of sports. This one is kind of hard because we already got two big guys, and I don't want to continue with the same sports. So I got an MLB guy again, and I mentioned him earlier, and that's Christian Yelich. I think Christian Yelich, he just blew up last year. He won MVP, NL MVP for good reason. He had a great playoff run. He had a great end of the year for the regular season, and I think this year I think he could hit 40 home runs. I think he'll bat 300 or 310. I think he could have over 100 RBIs, and I think he could win a Gold Glove. And I think he's going to be the main marketing and branding for the MLB. And that's my opinion. You go now, Jared.
I like some of yours. I disagree honestly with most of them, but I respect where you're coming from. You're thinking of the future about what they'll have for the future. I'm thinking about right now, going into the future right now, and then heading off to the future. So I'm gonna name off some guys, and then at the end I'll choose my ultimate guy, and then you can choose your ultimate guy because we still need one guy. For basketball right now, I can argue Zion Williamson. It's a little bold because he's a college player and he hasn't shown much, but I think he is. I've never seen anybody like Zion ever. I don't think he's. I think he's different than LeBron. I think he's different than Magic. I think he's different than Jordan. I think he's different than Anthony. I think he's different. He has the impact to change the game like Steph Curry. I think that if you would have asked me this question 2 years ago, I would have said definitely Steph Curry. The NBA lives and dies by the three-pointer because of Steph Curry. I think Zion has the ability to change basketball to make it to where guys can switch on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Zion can guard the 5 spot. Not as well as you would like, but he can. He's dominant. He's not very flashy in social media. He's not Joel Embiid.
No.
But he's very. You don't. If I asked the guy down the street who's Zion Williamson, I guarantee you he'll know who that is. I think that popularity from just playing college reminds me a lot of LeBron in high school. And we all know how popular LeBron is. So that's one guy. Another guy is Mike Trout.
Oh, yeah.
Highest paid athlete ever for a contract. What can I say about him? I'm not a baseball junkie, but what I do know is that Mike Trout could have the career of the best baseball player to ever play.
Agreed. I think he can.
Yeah. He's got the largest contract ever, which sets a precedent that baseball players can get paid too much, which I'm not going to argue that because it's not mine to argue, but, it could be up there. Great baseball player. But I think what makes him the face of baseball is he's very popular. He's more popular than the guy that you mentioned. I didn't I don't watch a lot of baseball, so I wouldn't know much about him. But I know more about Mike Trout than about the guy you mentioned. He's obviously a higher contract. He's had more of an impact on baseball than other guys. I think that to be the face of sports, I don't think baseball players have much of a chance, but he's definitely up there. Another guy I have is Joel Embiid. A lot of people are going to disagree with me. I think that Joel Embiid is a rare guy. He's a trash talker, and he's a really good trash talker. He's funny. Who doesn't like Joel Embiid? He's very charismatic. He's likable. I like Joel Embiid. I love Joel Embiid. I think that he has the popularity, he has the attitude, he has the game to back it up to be the best player in basketball, period. I think he's already more popular than someone like Giannis. To me, I think he's more popular than Giannis. I think he plays in a bigger market. I think he has a flashier game. I think that Joel Embiid is a social media star. I don't think Giannis has that. Giannis reminds me of Shaq, but without Shaq's personality. He's very quiet, reserved to himself. I think Joel Embiid is what Giannis is, but with a personality. Obviously, I don't think he's better than Giannis this year. He can be. And my last guy here I have is Steph Curry. I talked about this earlier, and I think that Curry is he's changed basketball. If you would have asked Michael Jordan back in the 90s, hey, a 6'3" point guard is going to dominate you and put fear into you, he would laugh in your face. Curry puts fear in people's faces just by his jump shot alone. And the game is changed because of Steph Curry. Giannis didn't change the game. Joel Embiid didn't change the game. I don't think LeBron has even changed the game that much. LeBron hasn't really transitioned the game into a new era like Steph Curry. I think that him changing the game, his impact right now is still amazing. Back in his 2015, 2016 season, that was when he started to really pick up some speed and popularity before the ankle injuries. But I think Curry is the most polarizing basketball player to watch, and he is such an impact over every single player, including LeBron. Look at LeBron shooting now. Look at his shooting when he was a pup. It's abysmal back then. So if I had to pick one guy, and if I'm being honest with you, I still think it's Steph Curry. I think that Curry has made people believe in him more. I can be like Steph Curry. You can be like Steph Curry. Anybody can be like Steph Curry if they work hard. Not everybody can be 7 foot tall like Giannis or 7 foot tall like KD, but you can be 6'3" and still dominate. I can be 6 foot, still dominate. Curry has provided that spark for the NBA, and the 3-pointer is the most powerful weapon of all time.
I really like the pick. You brought up some good points. You got my mind spinning right now. But I'm gonna stick with my favorite basketball player right now in the league. I'm gonna stick with Giannis. I think he's so humble, and he's just such a good guy, and his game really translates to the court. He's the biggest guy in Wisconsin. I think he's bigger than Aaron Rodgers. There's something called the Giannis effect. Once Giannis started blowing up, that stadium started selling out like crazy, and it still does. So I think Giannis could be the face, but the guys you named too could easily be the face of sports. But we got to wrap up, Jared. It was a really good podcast. Stay tuned for our next one. Should be dropping relatively soon. Have a good day. Leave comments down below. Leave likes. And thank you for watching.
Peace out, guys.